Howdy guys, how we all doing today? Welcome back to Father Fragrance. I'm Tyler, and today we're doing one of our first clones in a while. We ain't done one in a minute. We've been looking at a bunch of niche, bunch of designer, been doing some discovery stuff and ranking. Let's take a look at some clones again. And I'm trying to keep it kind of relevant to the season that we're going through. So spring's in full swing now, summer's on its way. So I kind of picked one that's pretty good for something like that. We got another Lataffa coming at you today, Fakhar Black. This is a pretty well-known one, so this isn't, if you're pretty familiar with the clone scene and everything, you probably have heard of this. I'm just going to give you my opinion on it. It's probably the most well-known EDP clone out there right now, and I think it's probably for good reason. You'll get to see that a little better, what I think about this thing here in just a little bit. So stick around, stay tuned, and you already know what's coming. Let's get that intro music and get this thing kicking. All right, so let's kick this thing right off. As always, we're going to start with our presentation. All right, so here is our bottle. As always with Lataffa, it's pretty it's pretty gaudy, right? There's a lot going on with this thing. As you can I'll kind of spin it around and we can take a look at it a little more here. I actually have this twisted backwards, which is really not a big deal. Yeah, so right up at the front, you got anyways, let's talk about the shape here. It's got this weird circular shape bottle. Kind of looks like maybe something off of I don't know, dude, like a fancy shampoo bottle or I've heard people call it a potion bottle. It looks like it's off of some kind of RPG game. You pick it up, you drink it, and it gives you extra health or boosted stats or something out of a video game. I kind of get that, right? It's got this kind of, exotic look to it, and that's not unusual for Lataffa. It's kind of on brand for them. They like to go above and beyond and make these, obviously kind of Middle Eastern flared bottles to them, right? Some people love that, others, drives them crazy, right? I don't really care one way or another, to be quite frank, but it's just, that's what you get with these guys. So here it is up at the top. We got this cap here. Actually decent kind of heft to it. Clips on pretty strange, actually. It sometimes doesn't want to get on there very well. But yeah, it's this kind of top here has that same fish scale pattern that the bottle does on the back. And then up at the front, you have this, I don't know what this, some kind of flower, and then the name of the bottle, Fakhar Lataffa here. It's got that kind of reflective on there. It's a bunch of fingerprints. I probably should clean this thing soon, as you can kind of see. Then on the bottom, we just have that stamp, that Lataffa kind of brand stamp that they always put on their bottles as their kind of stamp of approval or authenticity. So that's all there really is to it. It's just this kind of strange, awkward shaped bottle, and pretty normal atomizer though, otherwise. I didn't keep the box for this one because it actually got destroyed. My kids got a handle of it and they kind of tore it up. So there was no reason for me to keep it. But if you're interested, that's what it looks like. So that covers our presentation for Fakhar Black. All right, now that we got the presentation out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the good stuff. Let's check out this juice, see if it's worth the squeeze, see if it's actually cloning what it says it's cloning, and whether or not I actually like the scent. I'll also then give you the full note breakdown and kind of walk through that stuff and let you know what I'm picking out, what I'm not, and kind of what the overall smell profile actually is. As always, I'll hit the tester strip. I'll go ahead and get that opening, let you know what I'm smelling immediately, and then I'll, as I'm talking through that, continue to get more smells on that thing so I can get you the dry down and what we're getting as it kind of moves through that. All right, let's go ahead and get some sprays on this thing, see what we got. Okay, so this is a very, very fresh opening. It's super clean. It's kind of a fruity cleanness at the very beginning. Can't tell exactly what, but probably with a lot of these, it's probably some kind of citrus or something along the lines of that. And it's kind of got some aromatic spices in there too. Yeah, it's super nice. It's such a clean fragrance, immediately, right? So almost kind of shower jelly, right? Very, very, very clean and very masculine too. It's got a very mass appealing opening. Very, like I said, this is a very clean and fresh, inoffensive fragrance for sure. As it's kind of moving through and drying down a little bit, it's not so much like a fruitiness that's in there really. It's really more that fresh aromatic is in there, giving it that super clean scent, but then it moves into some kind of wood notes as well. So you have a very fresh, woody kind of fragrance going on here. There's something in it that gives it kind of a sweetness too, almost like a playful sweetness. It's not like cloying or anything. It's just there's like kind of a, I don't know, like a fresh sweetness in there. That's the best way I can explain that. I'm having a hard time articulating it, to be honest, but yeah, there's like some small amount of sweetness that makes it kind of feel a little youthful, if that makes sense, right? So very easygoing, very kind of like young, energetic fragrance. Something I would see a younger man wearing with probably with a lot of frequency, actually. But now that it's kind of gotten well into past that opening into this dry down as it continues to dry, it really is like a fresh aromatic and wood fragrance. That's pretty much what I'm mainly getting off of this. Strangely enough, so I can't actually pick out what those things are specifically. I can just tell it's kind of fresh, aromatic, and there's definitely some kind of wood backing it. With that being said, we'll move on from this, what I'm getting off of it, and I'll move into the note breakdown, and we'll actually see what is getting us to this scent profile. All right, so for our top notes listed, we have apple, bergamot, and ginger. Okay, so like I said, there is kind of like almost a fruitiness in the beginning there. It wasn't like a super strong fruity scent, so don't get it twisted here. This is not a fruit fragrance, in my opinion, at all. But there was kind of a fruity spiciness in there, and that kind of explains the ginger. I couldn't pick out ginger specifically, but there was definitely, you know, a spiciness kind of in that opening. I'm guessing that's where it came from. All right, and then our mid notes, we have lavender, sage, juniper berries, and geranium. A few more of our aromatics there, and then a little more fruit there in the juniper berries. I usually have a hard time picking those out. The juniper berries, I almost never know when they're in a fragrance. I usually have to read it to know that they're there. But lavender, sage, geranium, those are notes I usually know pretty well. And now that I'm reading it, I see that there's definitely lavender in this fragrance for sure. Sage, I guess I can get a little bit once I really focus on it, right? Sage is a beautiful aromatic, kind of herbal fragrant note, right? And now that I'm kind of like trying to find it, I think I'm picking that up, right? And I think the geranium's more present in like the kind of greenness that is slightly showing in this. You know, geranium is kind of is a flower, obviously, and you get floral notes off of it, but they also do kind of give these more like green aromatics, right? And I think that's how it's presenting in here. Though not like super forward, it's tough to pick out some of these individual notes in this fragrance. Okay, and then lastly, our base notes: tonka bean, cedar, amberwood, and vetiver. All right, so those all make sense to me, especially the last three, right? So cedar, amberwood, and vetiver. I told you kind of towards the back end of this, you're getting a lot of kind of a fresh wood scent off of this. So cedar and vetiver in particular, those guys are like they can be very kind of a fresh woodiness to it, especially together. And that's definitely happening here. It kind of makes it, right, when you take all these things and move them all together, it does give it this almost like soapiness, right? It's such a clean fragrance. Like if you're somebody who enjoys those clean fragrances, you're really gonna like this. Now, let's talk about the clone factor, right? So I've already mentioned this clones YSL's Y, right? EDP specifically, that's pretty much the consensus that's the one it smells most like. I would say that that's true. This gets really close to that. If you enjoy that fragrance, you will like this. If you are looking for an alternative to that fragrance, I actually think this kind of works, okay? This gets you very close. I don't have it here to really smell them side by side to tell you, but to my nose, and you know, I've smelled YSL Y EDP tons of times. Anytime you go to a department store, they're sitting around. So, and this has been a very popular fragrance for quite a while now, right? Or the Y has been specifically. So I know what it smells like. At least based off of memory alone, this thing is probably at least 85, 90% there. I would say this feels a little sweeter. So it has a little more of it's kind of a more youthful take on it. So a little more playful, right? But it still keeps that super fresh, super clean, shower jelly, soapy kind of take, right? So it really does kind of nail that DNA. It's just probably a little sweeter and a little more youthful. So if you're somebody who enjoys something like that, you will really like this fragrance. For rating it on scent profile, this isn't my absolute favorite scent DNA, but it is very good and it is incredibly versatile. You can wear this anytime, any place, but I think it's a little more suitable for summer and spring. But I know this is a very well-loved DNA. And I think it's for good reason. It is very mass appealing. This is a compliment getter. People are going to definitely enjoy smelling you as you walk by if you're wearing this or YSLY, right? So with that said, for me personally, I like it, but I don't love it. I would say it's probably a 7.5 to 8. I'll give it, you know me, I like to give benefit of doubt. We'll go 8 for scent profile just because it really is good. It's just not anything crazy, like unique or anything, right? It's very designer-esque. You know what I mean? It doesn't have any kind of like standout qualities. It just smells good and there ain't nothing wrong with that. So 8 out of 10 for this. All right, next up we have our performance. So I have seen on like Fragrantica and throughout the fragrance community that there are quite a bit of concerns of the performance on this fragrance. But I'm gonna tell you personally, I've never had an issue with it. I think projection wise, especially off the rip, right? That first like hour or two, there's plenty of it. In fact, I've sprayed it, 4 or 5 times on myself and thought in that first hour or two, it was a little tough to kind of constantly be smelling that because it pushed pretty hard. And in terms of longevity, I have absolutely no issues with the longevity on this fragrance. Again, this is a fresh, clean kind of freshy, right? So this is usually going to be in that kind of doesn't last very long realm, like most freshies don't, right? Like they use a lot of fleeting notes that smell amazing in the opening and they stick around for only an hour or two, and then that's it. You got to reapply or you're not smelling anymore. I have never run into that issue with this. This one literally right out the box. So I know a lot of people talk about maceration for these clones and stuff. Literally from the time I bought this and unboxed it and started using it, it smelled fantastic and the performance was there. I will get strong performance, like I said, for 2 hours, and I'll smell this up to 8 hours. Like usually throughout the day, like if I've sprayed it later in the day, I'll smell it through, when I lay down to go to bed, if I'm, you know what I mean? So it definitely performs well, especially for what it is. I actually think that a lot of the criticisms are, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just surprised, right? Like that's one of the things I see in terms of criticisms for this fragrance. I'm not seeing that. So on performance, I gotta give this pretty good grade. I'm gonna go like 8.5. It's really good for a freshie, honestly. All right, and then last but not least, we're looking at pricing. And I love talking about pricing, guys. I'm a frugal dude and I don't like spending a bunch of money on stuff I shouldn't be, okay? So we gotta talk about pricing. Okay, so obviously it's Lataffa. We know that kind of their whole deal is to create as many fragrances as possible, get them as close to whatever they're trying to clone or kind of get a inspiration on and make these fragrances just nonstop, and then sell as many bottles as they possibly can by pricing them very nicely. When I tell you what I got this for, it'll blow your mind, but I'll tell you what they're going for. You can find these running anywhere from like $20 to $30, honestly. I think right now on Amazon, you can have this thing at your doorstep in 2 hours, you know what I mean? For $25, okay? So that's an Amazon price. I'll bet you can find it for cheaper on a discounter like I did. I got this bottle right here in my hand for $15. At 15 bucks, it is worth every penny and way more than that. It performs super well. It smells very good. It smells like a designer fragrance. You're not finding designers for $15. This is 100 milliliters. This thing will last me quite some time. 15 bucks is worth it, man. At 15 bucks, this is a 10 out of 10 price. What is even the risk? Like you get what I'm saying? So even if you got this at 15 bucks and it sucked, oh well, somebody you could hand this off to and they would enjoy this. Especially like a gift for like a young man, like teen, college age kid, a high school kid, something like that. They would tear this thing up, I promise you. So pricing, this thing is a 10 out of 10. It's not even a question. This at 15 bucks has no business being this good. You won't find many fragrances that can compete with this, maybe none at all at $15. And just be honest with you. That's an insane price. So if you find it at 15, man, pull the trigger, go get it. That's all I can say about that. That is ridiculous pricing. All right, so we did our presentation, we did our scent profile, we did our performance, and last we did our pricing. We got ratings for all of those guys out of 10. So we got to take all those things into consideration and give it a final overall grade out of 10. All right. I told you it smells very good. It's not my favorite scent DNA, or, you know, but it does smell very good. It's very designer-esque, and it kind of nails that Y EDP DNA pretty darn well. The performance is absolutely acceptable. I have no qualms with it. It lasts plenty long for a freshie, and it projects quite well for those first few hours. Couple that with the fact that it cost me 15 bucks to buy this. Even if the performance was bad, I would just reapply and we would call it a day. Not a big deal. The pricing on this is outrageous. At 15 bucks, it's about as good as anything. At the end of the day, I'm gonna have to, when I've taken all these things into consideration, this has gotta be at least an 8 out of 10. We're gonna go 8.5 out of 10. And this is definitely among some of the better clones in the world right now. It's been out for a while now. Like, this is pretty well known. I already know that. Like, this review I'm giving is not like groundbreaking. I'm not bringing the hot new thing to you guys. It's just kind of my opinion on this thing, and I'm well aware of that. It really is among some of the best, you know, probably top 5 or top 10, maybe top 5 even clones that you could possibly purchase right now. So, especially when you consider how much that these ones run for. Some of the clones these days are kind of moving up in price because they're becoming very, very popular through social media and such. But this one's still very cheap, and it is well worth the money. So let's give it 8.5 out of 10. This thing is really good, man. It is absolutely worth checking out if you haven't already checked out Fakhar Black from Lataffa. All right, guys, that's all I got for y'all today. I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you find this kind of helpful in checking out maybe what could be your next new fragrance, right? I hope you enjoyed it, but if you didn't, I'm sorry about that. I'm just very happy that you stuck around this long and watched all the way through. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you want to keep on seeing this great content that I'm trying to get better every single day. I got a really cool ranking video coming up really soon of another niche indie kind of boutique house where we're going to do a deep dive and kind of explore what they offer. And I'll let you know all of the kind of the good, the bad, the ugly with those, right? So you don't want to miss that. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, okay? Should be coming close to the end of this week. As always, I thank y'all so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a good time. In the meantime, you already know what I'm about to tell y'all. Stay smelly, y'all.